What's going on YouTube? Austin Zabak here with another episode of the Austin Zabak Show. Guys, we have a very special guest. You're going to want to stay to the very end of the video. You saw the title of the podcast. We have Jacob Blank in the house, and Jacob is a guy that I've known for multiple years now. We've actually had the pleasure of doing deals together. He is 19 years old, ladies and gentlemen, 19 years old. He will do $2 million in revenue this year, depending on when you're watching the video. We're talking about 2021 here, okay? And that probably equates somewhere between 250 or 300 deals, give or take.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you're just killing the game for being 19 years old. And I think, in my humble opinion, Jacob, before I kind of, bring you in here, it's just truly impressive. And I think anybody listening or tuning in right now, you might be younger, looking into getting into real estate or wholesaling or whatever it might be, and you're just a testament to age is just a number. You hear that all the time, right?
Yep.
Age is just a number, but you're a living, breathing testament to that. And I'm excited to just dive into your story, how you got to where you're at, how you're doing what you're doing, and there'll definitely be a lot of value for everybody. So I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We haven't connected in a while, so I'm excited to jump on here. And it's so true, because that's what I wanted to do, to kind of put my name out there, because I feel like the audience has shifted to a younger generation for wholesaling real estate and just real estate in general. And, I thought because I had success in it, that putting my name out there with this stuff would help show the proof of concept to those younger people that it's possible to do the same. And so that's what I love doing.
Yeah, That's awesome, man. So, there's not a lot of young people that are doing it at the level you're doing it at, though.
Right.
There are a lot of young people. I do agree. Like, I think the wholesaling industry, well, really social media, I think, when you look at when Instagram started to evolve and TikTok and everything like that, Max Maxwell, and I think he was like the OG that kind of like made it, and then now obviously you have Brent Daniels and you have all the dudes that kind of made it popular, right? And then now there's dudes like you and me, and we're kind of making it popular, but yeah, there's a lot of young blood getting into the industry for sure.
Yeah.
But most 18-year-olds don't. I don't think I know anybody else at 19 that turned it into a real business, right? I think I see a lot of wholesalers that sling a deal or two here and there, and it gets them by. They make $100,000 a year, and hey, if that's their goal, good for them.
Yeah.
I always say, like, if your goal is to make $80,000 a year and you're genuinely fulfilled at $80,000 a year, you're genuinely happy, you didn't settle because somebody else told you to, then good for you.
Yeah, and that's because these young kids that get into it, they think a $30,000 deal or $15K deal and doing like $50K in a month, or not even, they're probably doing like $26K in a month. They think that's so much money when it's not.
Right.
And once they blow it, maybe they'll learn what a lot of money really is, and then they'll focus more on creating an actual business.
Yeah.
And so, what I did was I made my first few checks, and I reinvested it back in the business, and I saw the money go. It went on bills, it went on marketing, and I realized, geez, that money can go so fast. $30,000, my first deal, it went so fast, and I spent it so fast in marketing, in the right thing, thank God. But, it goes so fast, and that's when I really realized what's a lot of money, and I knew in order to, sustain the life that I wanted and build the life that I wanted and actually, be protected and feel safe and comfortable, I needed to make a lot more. And that's what I realized. And I think that's what drove me to build an actual successful operation rather than just making a quick buck here, buying this, flexing on friends, none of that. I wanted to build an actual business, and I've been able to do it.
That's awesome, man.
It's been a dream.
You remind me a lot of me when I was your age, so... and I really want to dive into that because I think this episode will be really valuable. I mean, I think just in general, man, anybody, if people are listening right now, it doesn't matter what industry they're in really at all. I mean, obviously, if they want to get into real estate or they are in real estate, this will be really valuable. But in any industry, you're the exception, And when I was your age, I was the exception. I was the same dude where I wasn't, I worked hard, man, and I tried my very best every day. I woke up. And I made it happen, dude.
Yeah.
And you're making it happen. It's cool to see. So what age were you when you got into wholesaling?
I was 16 years old when I got into wholesaling. When I started my entrepreneurial type stuff, I was like 12 years old.
Wow.
And I flipped junk on OfferUp, flipped random stuff. And I feel like a lot of people that are good at wholesaling started with something like that. And my first actual business was the OfferUp business. And I'd reach out to my grandparents and friends, and I would see, do you have any stuff from when you were younger or any junk around the house you want to get rid of? And I'd say, let me partner with you. And with my grandparents and stuff, they'd give me the stuff for free. I could take all the profit if I sold it for them. They just wanted to clean out their house. And then with friends, everybody's got Legos, games, you name it, from when they're young. And I'm like, I'll sell it for you. Don't worry about it. Let's split the profit 50-50. And I was scaling my business on OfferUp by doing that, finding partners and sourcing stuff to sell like that. And so that's kind of when I first started being an entrepreneur. And then when I turned 16, my eye got caught on wholesaling real estate. And I'm like, geez, I could really make a lot of money here. And it's kind of the same concept as flipping junk.
Yeah,
you know?
I love that, man. I love that. There's a couple things I want to dive into on that really quick. So number one, dude, you're so right. I never even, you see dudes like Ryan Pineda and everybody, right? Flipping the couch or flipping this or flipping that. But I've never even thought about it. The amount of junk. Okay, so I'm just moving right now. We're talking about it before the show, right? And I was telling people in my inner circle, I was like, I should just get rid of a lot of this stuff. But dude, I found myself moving stuff that I knew I'm never going to use because I didn't want to throw it away, but I know I'll never sell it because I just don't have the time, right?
Right.
So if somebody like an older or a younger version of you, obviously you don't do that anymore because you're doing the wholesale, the actual real estate deal now. But dude, if somebody called me, man, and was like, hey, I'll come to your place and sell everything you don't use, that'd be a total win for me.
Yeah. And
because I'm making money on something I would have never made money on.
And that's why I did good doing it. You know, I made over like $5,000 in 1 year doing it.
Wow.
Just doing it on the side, like not dedicated completely to it.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of
12,
money
13,
at like
14
12,
years
13,
old.
14. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, that's what sold it. I had to have a good product, a good service, and that's what it was. And it would even work for you right now. And that's why it worked.
Dude,
so if you're super
if you got a
young
younger
out there,
version of you, if anybody's listening right now, okay, drop down below or whatever, hit up Jacob, whatever. I would take that right now, okay? If somebody wants to sell all my stuff, I'll do it right now, We'll do 50-50. And dude, I would love that. So that's awesome. So then you got into wholesaling. The first thing that comes to my mind is the biggest self-limiting belief I hear all the time, right? So for people watching, for people listening, you probably hear it all the time now too.
Yeah.
How do I get into real estate if I'm not 18, right?
Yeah.
You hear it every day. So you did it. So just very vaguely or however you want to answer the question, how were you able to pull that off?
So basically in business, you're able to become 18 years old by creating an LLC with somebody on it that's over the age of 18. So whether that's your parents, a friend that's over the age of 18, have them be a member on your LLC, and now you just basically became an 18-year-old in business.
Wow.
Now you can sign contracts under that LLC because you're a signer on that LLC. Age no longer matters. And creating an LLC, you can do it with the state for like $80 and online for a couple $100.
Wow.
So it's not that much of an investment, to basically become 18 and be able to conduct business and real estate transactions.
Yep.
And so that's exactly what I did. And I wholesaled real estate like that for 2 years and never had trouble.
So just get somebody in your family that's on board that believes in you, and if your family doesn't believe in you, then get them to believe in you.
Yeah, and you can get them to believe in you by telling them to check out me and my story, because I tell them how I did it. I did it that way, and it worked. And tell them, look at this kid, man. I can do the same thing. I know I can. I'll work hard for it. And I guarantee showing them the proof of concept with me, plus you saying you're going to dedicate your time to it, will get them to believe in you and start an LLC.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I couldn't agree more. And if you can't get them to believe in it, then maybe you don't believe in yourself. And I tell people that a lot of the time, right? At the end of the day, if you can't get somebody to believe in you, Jacob, it typically is because you don't believe in yourself. And a lot of us don't want to admit that. But if I can't convince somebody, it could be a marriage. You might be older, and you're trying to get your spouse on board to letting you quit your day job, but your spouse is worried that you're not going to be able to pay the bills if you quit to pursue full-time in real estate or whatever it might be. And if you're struggling to get whoever it might be in life on board with your vision, your goal, and your dream, then there probably is a lack of belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not selling it the right way.
Right, and you're not going to be able to get deals if you don't believe in yourself. And you got to start by kind of just saying, I'm going to believe in myself over and over again. But the beautiful thing about building a business and scaling it is we start to believe in ourselves so much more throughout the process. We start to trust ourselves so much more. After these 3 years of me being in real estate and, speaking on stages now, I sit waiting to go on stage, and I get nervous a bit, and I'm like, come on, man, I trust myself.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I kill it and I'm like, geez, I really do trust myself because I let all the anxiety just wash over, no more. And then I'm like, I'm good to go because
Wow.
I really, truly trust myself. And so I feel like we're able to build this amazing strength with ourselves through business, and it's one of those beautiful things that comes with it.
That's awesome, man. I think that was just such a golden nugget that you just said. I did a Zoom call this morning with my internal team, and I was talking about belief and trusting yourself, and you know, I was telling this story about, like, dude, you get in the car to go to Flagstaff, and you trust so much in Siri to get you there that you don't even ask any questions. You get in the car at night, you turn on the keys, your headlights turn on, and you're looking for your bottle of water. You're not even thinking about it. If there was any doubt at all that you wouldn't make it to your destination, that you were going to die halfway to your destination, you'd never get in the car. Right? But we believe so much that we're going to get to the destination that we didn't even put any thought into it.
Right.
And I think if you can get there with your goal and your dream, where I believe so much that I'm going to get to my destination that it doesn't even cross my mind. I don't even wake up at all. You're talking about going on stage. It's like, yeah, we're human beings. We're going to get a little bit nervous. But I have so much belief that I'm going to pull it off that I just do it like clockwork. I put myself in this situation. I know I'm going to get nervous. I still get nervous going backstage. I just committed to a big deal in January, man, and there'll be a couple hundred people there, and they're big real estate developers. I mean, it's no joke. You know, these aren't just a bunch of little kids. You know, they're the real deal. And I'm getting brought in to do like the motivational piece and teach them how to like build a team and stuff. And I'm like, man, who am I? You know, like I'm a nobody. But at the end of the day, you know, you have to just snap out of it. It's like I have belief. I know who I am. I've built what I've built.
And it becomes so easy to snap out of it throughout the process of building the business because you start seeing the results that you created with your work. And then you just trust yourself so much more. That's one of the beautiful things.
I love that, man. So, okay. So you get into real estate at 16. How long was it until you got your first deal?
It took me 8 months to get my first
deal.
deal.
Mine was 9.
Wow. Crazy. It's a struggle, man.
What do you think it was for you that took 8? Like looking back, hindsight's 20/20, right? Were you doing the wrong type of marketing?
It had something to do with age. It had something to do with doing the wrong type of marketing initially. And it had something to do with not being experienced too, because I got a deal under contract 6 months in. But then it turns out when I walked a buyer through it, it had a bunch of foundation issues that the seller didn't tell me about. I bring that to their attention. They tell me they already got a bid for $17,000 in foundation repair. Completely killed the numbers. How was I gonna? So I canceled the contract. Little did I know if I just walked 10 more buyers through it, or not even 5 more buyers, somebody would have bought it. So that was the experience part. Then the part that held me back, the marketing part, was initially I printed out 1,000 flyers from a regular printer on regular printer paper, and I mapped out all the pre-foreclosures and lates, a route that would be quick to get to all of them in my area. And I went and I started passing them out, knocking on the doors. If they didn't answer, I'd tape it to the door or leave it in the mailbox. I never got a call and spent a lot of time doing that. Then I did some bandit signs, not many, but I probably put 100 out. And then, you know, I put them out and I waited for a call. So I wasted time waiting too. And then I never got a call from that either. And then I realized I needed to be doing proactive marketing rather than reactive marketing. That's when I got into cold calling, got data, got a dialer, started cold calling myself. After like a month, hired 2 cold callers, and then I started getting traction. And then, you know, took a few more months, but I got that one deal under contract canceled. And then about like 2 months later, I got that deal under contract. So it probably took me 4 months after I started doing cold calling, the right marketing channel that would actually bring people, go to people rather than waiting for them to come to me.
Which I like what you said there, proactive versus reactive.
You got to. Otherwise, you know, nobody's just going to give you the deal.
You're on the defensive. Right? It's like in life, you know, even in life in general, I want to wake up and be on the offensive. I want to put myself into a position where I'm in control, right? I don't want to be waiting on the defensive like, okay, well, I hope my phone rings today, you know?
And especially for that first deal, because you don't have SEO. You haven't built a good website that's bringing organic leads. You don't have all these different channels that are already going to bring you stuff, no matter what. And those things take time to dial in and to create and build. And so in the beginning, you got to be doing something proactive. And so it took me like 4 months after I started doing the right marketing, got that first deal, was for $30,000. Actually just up the street.
Big deal.
Yeah, just up the street from here too.
So like North Phoenix, like give or take, or North Scottsdale? Okay,
Scottsdale,
wow. Was it a condo or a house?
It was a house.
Okay.
I locked it up for $470, ARV conservatively was like 660, and then if you pushed it, probably 720 if you did a really
What's
good
it worth
remodel.
now? Have you looked? Have you ever looked back on that first
I
deal?
was just there the
I
other
bet you
night.
It's worth $1 million.
I was driving home and I was like, oh, that's the street.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
stopped by and I was like taking it
One
in,
day
man.
you should like comp it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
I
now.
should have. I
Yeah.
should. I'm gonna go do that
You
after
should,
this. But
because it would be interesting to look back and you know, I've done that before where
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if I only had known in the
Yeah.
very beginning, you know, I would have just bought everything
Yeah.
and held it, you know.
Yeah.
But you need the money. Wholesaling
Yeah.
provides cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the business
Yeah.
aspect comes into play, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's always a catch-22, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to Zach Keeps, you know, and you know Zach Keeps
Yeah.
pretty well. And
He bought my first deal.
did he really?
Yeah.
Okay, no way. And he's just an incredible guy, by the way. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
Zach Keeps, in my humble opinion, like, dude, I told him, I said, man, you're one of the best dudes I've ever met in my life. Like,
Same.
He's got just a heart of gold, man. I hope he listens to this because he's just
Yeah.
got a heart of gold, you know.
Yeah.
And but that's really cool. So
Yeah.
that wasn't the deal that. No, that couldn't have been the deal that. Whose deal that he
The
just posted
condo,
about recently?
that's me. I sold him that too.
that
Yeah.
it took a year
so
to get the
talk about
tenant up?
appreciation, right?
Yeah.
And looking back on your deals, I sold him this deal a year ago. Obviously, there was a bad tenant, and it took him a year to get the crazy tenant out, but it appreciated $100,000.
Wow.
And it was a cheap condo. I could have easily bought that back then.
Yep.
But I would have had to deal with the headache. He's probably better at dealing with something
is,
like
yeah.
that than me.
And if it
So-
took him to get the year to get the tenant,
then me,
like, out of
I
all
would have been
people, it'd
stuck
been a
forever.
decade, yeah,
Yeah,
you know?
for real.
Because he's the OG
Yeah.
when it comes to like
Yeah.
doing all that.
Truly
you
the
know?
best guy ever
Yeah.
too. Great energy.
Yep.
Feel like I'm family with him.
Ah,
Love
dude.
the guy.
Just
Yeah.
incredible, man. And anybody watching, that dude would help anybody, you know. So
Yeah.
he's just a really good dude. But I like that a lot, man. So when you started to pivot and started to do the marketing, you hired the cold callers, you know, who did you have at that point? Did you have anybody in your corner that was kind of giving you advice, or were you just watching YouTube videos? And
Yeah. So I had my dad helping me out too and giving me advice. He'd been a realtor since 2004, but he hadn't done any wholesaling really. So it was kind of a new thing that I was trying to do and
Sure.
that we were trying to do. And so I, had some advice on the traditional side of real estate, how transactions go, some simple stuff like that. But wholesaling is a whole different game, and a lot of realtors don't like it. It's a gray area.
They don't understand it.
And they're afraid to
Yeah.
do it because it's a gray area kind of. And so, it was a new chapter, but I had that advice there. And then the all-in guys also,
Yeah.
after I did my first deal, I had money saved up plus the amount that I made. And I invested in their mentorship too, which helped out a ton and gave me a good plan on how to scale
Sure.
from there. Which was good.
And Carlos and Sal and Alex, right?
Yeah.
Or was it just Carlos and Sal at the time?
Carlos,
and
Sal,
Alex?
and
Okay.
Alex.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're phenomenal dudes too.
Yeah.
I don't know Carlos and Sal as well.
Yeah.
But I know Alex decently well. You
Yeah.
know, I've talked to Alex and we've hung out multiple times, and he's a really good dude.
Yeah, they're good dudes.
Small world. You learn over the years that I was telling you before the show, I've been in the industry since like 2014, give or take.
Yeah.
And dude, everybody knows everybody, man.
Yeah.
Like if I've learned one thing, like you really can't do people wrong in this
Yeah.
industry. You can't do bad business.
That's
there
why
are
it's
people in the
surprising,
industry
though,
that have done
that
bad
there's-
business, and you hear their name, bro.
Yeah.
Like I never want to be the guy that
Yeah,
people talk
no.
about like that.
It's
you know?
surprising how many people do shady stuff and slimy stuff when
Yeah.
everybody knows each other.
Yep.
It's just surprising. But overall, I think, people chalk it up to way too many people
Yeah.
doing bad stuff when I don't think there is that many.
No.
I think there's this bad look, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's really like that much.
A lot of wholesalers don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There is something to be said about that.
Yeah.
They're throwing crap at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah.
And they're locking deals up too high, and then they're canceling, right? And that makes it tough for the actual real deal wholesaler to come in because you're competing with an offer that's not even a viable offer
Yeah.
to begin with. And I'm telling the seller, I'm like, listen, whoever made you that offer is not going to go through with that. Because it's just a simple numbers
Yeah.
game. I'm looking at the deal. It ain't worth that, right?
Yeah.
And no investor that knows what they're doing is going to pay you that,
Yeah.
Which immediately I know it's a wholesaler that's new to the real estate game. And so I'll tell sellers, I'll say, hey, listen, I hope they do close at that number. Good for you. But if they don't, give me a call.
Yeah, and it happens all the time.
9 times out of 10,
Happens
they call
all
you.
the time.
Yeah.
And people like us that are more experienced, know what we're doing, have the full business built out. We do everything. If we lock something up too high, we do everything. We try every avenue to still fund the deal.
We do every time.
And because we don't want to cancel, we don't want to cause problems. You know?
Never.
And you know, we know people are moving. This is where they live. This is their whole life.
Yeah.
So
we're here to serve, man.
And it's not just about a quick buck.
No.
It's about, you know, staying in the business long term. And you know, what you put out into life comes back to you tenfold. And so if you're just doing bad deals, canceling, and treating people wrong, you're not going to do many deals.
Hey, I like that you have that mindset at 19. You know, big kudos to you, because a lot of people don't. You know, a lot of people, they either never learn, or they learn when it's too late. They've already done a bunch of bad business. People don't trust them. People don't like them, whatever. If you can just maintain that simple attitude, which you will, I know you will out of all people, but for people listening and watching, you know, it is really important that you have that attitude in business, because it's something I've always aspired to do. And I have really great role models too. You know, Josiah Grimes was a dude that I was really fortunate and blessed to spend a lot of intimate time with him. And he's one of the best dudes I've ever met in my life, you know, and in terms of just, he's a man of God. I mean, he's just he's the whole package of what I aspired to be in life. And obviously now they run Keegley, right? Which is one of the most successful operations, arguably, in the country when you really look at the whole thing they built out as a whole, right? And so, dude, just having good people you look up to, man, with good morals and values is really important.
And I feel like when it comes down to work ethic too, what you put out into this world comes back. And that's truly what how I think I got so successful in such a short period of time, is because my work ethic is like no other. I outwork everybody around me that I know. And I think that's what made me successful. The more work that I put out, I seem to get blessed with different things happening, different wins. And that's just how I see it. So
I love that, man. Okay, so let's go back in time a little bit, kind of like right in the, you start wholesaling, right? Now you're doing cold calling. Did you scale the cold calling thing?
Yeah, so once I got that first deal, I had 2 cold callers. I instantly went to 4. Then I did like a 15K deal, a 24K deal. I went to 6 cold callers, and from there to 8, 12, 14. I just kept adding 2.
Your cold callers, they're in Rocky Point, aren't they?
I have half in Rocky Point and half in the Philippines.
Okay, great. All right. And you, is that your operation down in Rocky Point, or?
Yeah, they all work from home. I did have an office for a little bit, but I just shut it down recently, sent everyone home again.
COVID and...
Yeah, it was just working out better that way too. I might do an office again because I liked the environment. I liked how the morale was picking up there by having it. But they all work from home. We own a couple condos there, so we go there a lot, and so I just met them in person. You like going there too?
Yeah, Las Palomas. Yeah. And you know, Crystal 204 is our condo. So.
And the amazing thing about Rocky Point is, and the people there is, not all of them are just cold callers. I find people that are extremely smart that unfortunately got deported from here, but they went through high school and everything, and I'm able to provide them a job that pays better than the minimum wage down there. So they're able to almost get to American minimum wage right now. I have them climbing the ropes, and I can't wait till one of them or 2 of them are making more than people in my office here in Scottsdale, which I know will happen. And they're so smart. They're able to do everything.
And they got the work ethic, man.
And they even have my back more than some of the people here, I feel sometimes.
They're loyal, dude. They're loyal.
They are.
You know, loyalty is everything, man. I think Americans, unfortunately, sometimes, and I hate to be that guy, but we're just so, I think as a society, we're so, we get to this point where I guess we're, when you're a kid and you're spoiled almost. I mean, you're like, and so, unfortunately, man, but loyalty is everything. I've had a lot of people leave and look, when people walk out of my door, I bless them. I say, God bless you. I hope you live an incredible life. I've had people steal from me, lie to me, cheat on me in business, right? And I bless them. I'm like, God bless you and your family, and I hope you have a great life, you know, and because, at the end of the day, what goes around comes around. It isn't my responsibility to try to get revenge on somebody ever.
And you don't want to carry that baggage on your shoulders of that stuff.
No, you don't. But, so getting good people is really important, you know, and hiring good people. And so for anybody watching and listening, I like what you're saying on the cold calling. I think cold calling would you say cold calling for you has always been the #1 marketing method that has driven the majority of your deals?
Yep, cold calling has. It's favorite marketing channel still. I've done plenty of marketing channels, and I do a couple others in cold calling, SEO, a little bit of SMS, but, it's always seemed to be the best one so far. But I do plan on in 2022 diving a bit more into PPC and really trying to get that to work and dial that in and actually learn how to run it myself so I can become a master at it, just like I have at the cold calling. and then I think it should work out and hopefully help our business scale more.
Okay, so cold calling being the #1 marketing
Yeah.
strategy. I love that, dude. It's the same for us, by the way, in full transparency. Cold calling. Look, texting's dope. I
Yeah.
like texting for a long time. The text laws are stupid, in my humble opinion. You know, you can't deliver messages half the time. You know,
Yeah.
we still text from time to time, but you know, here's what I tell my team, man. I say, listen, and we do pay-per-click, and I'd love to talk
Yeah.
to you about it, and we do, you know, but I say, all the marketing that you do in the world, where do you end up at the end of the day? You end up on the gosh dang phone. If I knock on somebody's door, eventually I get their phone number, we're talking on the phone, right? If I do direct mail, we're on the phone. If I send a text, we end up on the phone. If I run a Facebook ad, we end up on the phone. If I run an Instagram ad, we end up on the phone. A
Yeah.
Google ad, we end up on the phone. I'm like, why not just start on the phone?
Start there.
You know what I mean?
I've never heard somebody say that, and I really
Yeah.
like that because that's so true. Why
Yep.
not just start there?
Start right
You're
on the
closer
phone.
to on the phone, and
100%.
all those other marketing channels, you're working to get them there.
Yep.
Why not start there? So
yeah.
that's beautiful. I
So
love
keeping
that.
I think keeping the main thing,
Yeah.
the main thing, right? The cold calling, I think is incredible.
Yeah.
I think it'll always be incredible.
Goes back to the basics. How could it not work? So
No, and look, you know, I mean, the cell phone carriers have tried over the years to
Yeah.
hone that back a little bit, but you know, I think you're always to some degree going to be able to cold call somebody
Yeah.
that is not on the do not call, right, registry. So.
Yeah.
And then even then off camera, you know, I would tell people a thing or two about that, but
Yeah.
but I won't do it on camera. So, but yeah, so texting. Do you do any texting right now at all?
we cut it back.
Okay, yeah, we
completely
did
turned
too.
it off.
Yeah.
But we were doing it. Like maybe we cut it off 2 months ago. So not that long ago.
Yep.
But no real results in the
No.
past 6 months from it.
No, you know, texting is just I don't know, dude. We did well for a while,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of faded away
Yeah,
too.
I think
know?
you were more into texting than I ever was. I was just kind of going after niche stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got a couple deals from like maybe I spent $10,000 on
Yep.
text, which that's not a good ROI.
No, not at all. No,
A couple deals on
No.
the 10 grand. So,
No.
you know, it's kind of more testing. I saw
Yeah.
people succeeding with it.
You could do like
know.
text follow up is
Yeah.
kind of dope. You know,
Nurture
so
campaigns,
nurture
drip
campaigns,
stuff.
stuff like that. Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
not sending out nearly as many.
Yeah.
Because you know, the way the funnel works, obviously, whatever your nurture is going to be a fraction of what that
Yeah.
total number is. You know, and so you're just doing a follow up. Hey, just wanted to follow up. I know you said you know you weren't looking to sell for quite some time, but. Just wanted to let you know we are still looking for a property in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We chatted a few months ago, and if you remember my name, you know, and give me a call if something changed over the last couple months, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That'll work good, you know. But again, you got to get the right tech software. You know, there's a bunch of software out there. Some of it's good, some of it's trash. Some of it you're not going to get any delivers.
Yeah,
So
there's
a lot
so
of it's
many
like-
of them out there
Yeah.
too, and that's one of the things that's hard for us even, and way harder for the new people,
Mm-hmm.
is because there's so many different services out there that people don't know what to use,
They have
and it's
no
like,
idea, man.
and then you're spending hours researching each
And
one
money.
to make sure you make the right decision. And I remember when I was starting, I had like printed out what this one costs, what it provides, had it all over my
them
wall.
all next to each other, yeah.
I had it on the wall, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
an FBI
and
agent. You're
I'm
like,
sitting
yeah.
there, trying to figure it
I
out.
like that,
So that's one
yeah.
of the hard things too. But
So have you done much pay-per-click then at all? Or?
we spent maybe 10 grand on
Okay,
pay-per-click,
yeah.
so not much. Didn't get any results because you know I had another company running it for me, and you know,
Yeah.
it's not their money, so
Right.
that's kind of why I want to learn how to run it myself.
Yep. Okay. I like
So
that. You know,
I was
think
kind of trying both those marketing strategies through 10 grand at each one,
Yep.
and you know, did some testing.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay-per-click. We're ramping up pay-per-click right
Yeah.
now. We're doing a national campaign though
Yeah.
on pay-per-click, and we get good, I would say right now we get quite a few leads every day, dude.
Yeah.
And we're closing deals. We've gotten multiple deals under contract in the whole nation, and
Yeah.
and we're really doing it big, you know. And so obviously, like we were talking about a little bit before the show, you know, without getting too much into it, but you know, a lot of the big hedge funds are obviously buying right now,
Yeah.
right? And if you can find what they're looking for, you know, that can be really beneficial to everybody, right? So we'll run pay-per-click, and if I can take a deal in Atlanta, or I can take a deal in Kentucky or Nashville or wherever,
Right.
and sell it to a hedge fund, you know, that's
so
advantageous
true
to
too.
everybody. Yeah.
It's made nationwide PPC easier too, because these hedge funds are here now.
Mm-hmm.
You got a buyer everywhere as long as it meets their criteria. So that's huge too.
And I don't know how long that'll last,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, we've seen, you know, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but we've seen, you know, I mean, obviously Zillow pulled out of the market, and, you know, some of the big hedge funds, I guess, the Wall Street money, I mean, maybe they'll be around for another couple of years. I mean, it makes you wonder, you know, when they're going to pull out. I mean, they got to pull out eventually.
Yeah, from
Right.
what I know, you know, I was speaking to some really smart people maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Before it ramped up a lot more since then.
A lot.
It was kind of just like the beginning where everyone was hopping on the hedge funds back then. And it's ramped up a lot. But back then, they owned 4% of the market, and they want to own 40% of the market. So that tells us that they're going to be buying for so long, at least a couple years. And so that means the market's not going to crash.
No.
They're buying up all the supply. The demand is crazy. There's no supply, and they're going to keep it that way. The minute the supply gets bigger and they let it, they're screwed.
Crazy,
They
bro.
let it crash. So
What's crazy about all that, and this would be a whole nother podcast, but just to very vaguely, you know, it's like, you know, what does that do to just the normal homeowner?
Yeah.
When you have, you know, when you go pull into a neighborhood, right? And 40% of the neighborhood are renters. Renting from, you know, big institutional money, right? And only 60% of everybody in that whole neighborhood is just a normal family that actually is an owner of a property. You know, there are so many things that come along with that,
it's
right?
crazy.
When you really look at it, like, what does that do to the rental market? What does that do to first-time home buyers? You know, just as a whole, economically, you know, when you look at like macroeconomics, I mean, again, a whole nother podcast, but
macroeconomics on that would be crazy. But like Grant Cardone has said, you know, that he sees the future, everything's going to be rented. Your clothes, your car, your house, everything. Everything.
I believe that.
And with this hedge fund thing, I see it going there too.
Dude, you got to hedge your money against inflation, man. You know, I think the hedge funds, why have trillions of dollars just in cash? Cash is trash, you know? And you hear Grant Cardone talk about that all the time, right? So I think for anybody watching and listening and like you and me, it really boils down to just like get rid of cash. Make as much cash as you possibly can, and then get rid of all of the cash. And spend it on Bitcoin or real estate or whatever you believe in, I guess. You know?
And like you said, eventually they have to get out. But I think there is a chance that they don't. And they don't because of that future, everything rented. And I think there's a chance there. But if they do get out, that's the market crash.
It is.
That we see.
Yeah, because if they pulled out all at one time, that in and of itself would cause...
Even slowly would drive prices down.
And probably fairly quickly, you know, because you know, the supply would theoretically go way up if you didn't have that competition, because it's also going to spark fear and panic in the market. You know, home buyers are going to look around. There's not going to be as much competition overnight, right? You're going to go from getting 8 offers on a property to 2. And
we've already seen the market settle a bit lately.
It softened up.
And so just imagine if they softened up, you know.
And it's just, you know, eventually we have to see some sort of correction, in my opinion. You know, does that necessarily mean that it's going to be a huge crash? Look, you know, who knows, right? But you know, at some point, it either has to plateau or correct a little bit. I mean, I think everybody to some degree could get behind that statement. Now, who knows when that'll be? It could be another 5 years. You know, but at some point, we've been on a really long bull run now. We've been on basically an 11 or 12-year bull run. And statistically, bull runs don't last that long. You know, so when you look at data over the last 100 or 200 years, I mean, data typically doesn't lie. You typically won't break a pattern like that, you know, very, very often, right? So, you know, maybe a couple of years we break the pattern, and then at some point we should see a taper.
And I think, you know, new wholesalers especially are putting a lot of thought into this and are scared about the market crashing. And I think, you know, they're worrying too much about it, and they shouldn't, because who knows when it's going to happen, first off. And then second off, if you can just, before it happens, build up your experience as a wholesaler, get good at it, we're the middlemen. We
100%.
find ways to make money, and so we'll just buy lower and sell lower. Big deal.
Well, yeah, because all the landlords and the flippers enter the market again. If the market tanks. Right? So if institutional money left, your mom and pops all come back in.
They might save the market,
they
too.
Could, 100%. Because they all come back in, and now, sure, they're going to pay a little lower, but sellers are going to sell lower. So it's all relative, right? When you look at the macro, it's all relative. So if I can buy deeper and sell deeper, but still create arbitrage, then you're still in business. As a matter of fact, I would almost argue, Jacob, that there's more money to be made in a down market for a wholesaler, really for anybody. I mean, Warren Buffett talks about it. He says, you know, when I can't remember his exact quote, but it's when fear or when what does he say? When people are greedy, be fearful, I think is what he says. And when people are fearful, be greedy, right? And basically what he's saying is when people are confident, and they're like right now, basically the market we're in, everybody's confident, and buy Bitcoin and buy S&P 500 and buy real and everything like that. You know, Warren Buffett's an old school conservative guy, to put it, you know, to simplify, right? But he's like, hey man, like be careful, right? And then when people are all being careful, then that's when you want to go hard, you know?
Yeah.
So, dude, wholesalers can make more money in a down market,
And
man.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And you know, there is going to be a grace period where business slows down, you know, kind of dramatically. I think while that market is, you know, if it happens instantly, there's going to be that shift that has to take place in a, you know, some downtime.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, we can survive as long as you're doing this legit and you've saved some money up. You make sure you've got 3-4 months of business expenses
You're
ready
good
to
to
go
go.
at all times. You'll make it through,
Yep.
and then you know we do better in a down
We
market.
do.
So
You just pivot, man.
Yeah.
Be nimble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be nimble. So I love it, dude. So right now then, your current business, how do you have it structured? So you've got some acquisitions
Yeah.
people, you've got your cold callers, dispositions is mostly right now just, I mean, what is that looking for?
yeah,
Like?
so I've got 10 acquisitions, actually 9. I just let one go. So I have 9 acquisitions. I have 1 admin/transaction coordinator. I had a dispo person, but it didn't work out, and so I'm still doing dispo myself for the most part, plus the help of my TC and some of my head sales managers. I got 2 sales managers that manage everyone, help me with dispo a bit, and then I got those just about 30 cold callers.
Yeah.
I go between 25 to 30 depending on who's hired, who's fired. I'm trying to go to 35, 40 this year because I want to do more, and I got more acquisitions now. And then I've got 4 virtual assistants
Wow.
that
That's
are
awesome.
like
Yeah.
rock star virtual
Yep.
assistants.
And that all equates to roughly somewhere between like maybe 10 to 20 deals a month, give or take.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is a great number. I mean, that's a big number of deals.
Yeah.
You know, when you really think about it,
Yeah.
especially if your deal size is, you know, decent, and that's a good
Yeah, I
income.
mean, with this setup, which these new acquisition guys, I had 6, and now I just went to 9. So with 6 acquisition guys and everything else in my team, we keep 300K in the pipeline always, basically. Unless it's a down month, you know, happens a couple of times a year, maybe closer to, you know, 180, 200 around there. But we're keeping 300K in the pipeline. And next year I hope to go to 400K in the pipeline. That way we're sure we close 200K every single month.
I love that.
And hit $3 million next year. That's the
awesome.
goal. So.
Yeah, and that's just wholesaling.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing any more flipping or buying rental properties or anything? Or?
This year I was supposed to do 12 flips. I only did 1. I wanted to do 1 a month. Wholesaling was amazing this year.
I know, it really
and
was.
So
why flip?
I lost focus, and also all the flippers, it was amazing for them too, and there has been no deals to buy.
I know.
And also for the majority of the year, I felt like the deals, I wasn't getting that many good deals.
No.
Good wholesale deals, I could make a buck, but not for me to flip.
No.
And so this year was hard for flipping. Last year I did either 7 or 8 flips, I can't remember.
Yeah. No, flipping was hard for us too, so you weren't the only one. You know, we did way more flips in 2020 than we did in 2021. I mean, dude, same thing, bro. If I can wholesale deal and make 20 right now, with a snap of a finger, or I can flip it and make 30, I'm gonna take the 20.
Yeah, and
take the 20.
I always say you make the most money sitting at your desk.
Yep.
So if you have to run to these projects, you're wasting so much time.
You are.
If you literally can just flip paper, flip contracts, focus on building your business from your command center, your desk, you're going to make so much money. And so I put that same concept, I instill that in my employees too. When they're like, this person wants me to go on an appointment, I make them tell me exactly why they need to, why I should let them. Are you sure they're going to sign on the dotted line, this, that, the third? Because I don't want them leaving. I want them sitting at their desk. That's where the money's
they're
made.
going to call another 40 or 50 people. In the amount of time they could have gone on one appointment. You know, you don't need to typically go on appointments. I mean, I would say 1 out of every 15 or 20 deals we have to go on an appointment. You know, and it's some oddball scenario where they're old, they don't have a DocuSign or they're whatever the case is. And sure, we'll go. Look, we're in the business to serve people. So if that's what it's going to take to get the deal done, then we'll do it. Right?
You qualify. You qualify.
But make sure that
you don't want to go out there.
No.
You know. Especially you're probably talking about like Sun City,
Yep.
right? And that's a 45-minute drive from here.
Apache Junction, freaking Maryvale, you know.
And so a lot of times they won't sign. You know, they say, even sometimes they say they're ready and then they don't. And it's like, you qualified, but no. So that's why we try to stay at the desk.
For sure. Yeah. Are you planning on acquiring any long-term property or even short-term like Airbnb or anything like that?
Yeah, so I wish I bought more properties. All of us wholesalers that are coming up say that, you know, when after, 3-4 years, they look back and they say, oh, geez. And just like you said, to look back at some of those deals, see what the value is now. you say, damn, I should have bought.
Should have bought more, yeah.
But I want to run up as much cash as I can for one more year, and I plan on buying a few condos next year, one for my mom and one for me, and maybe just one more as a rental.
Sure.
But other than like those 3 condos next year, I don't really plan on buying anything, just plan on stacking cash. Even though I got to hedge against inflation, but it's tough when I'm super busy, you know.
Is. Yep.
But that's kind of the plan, dump a bunch of money into 3 condos. That'll kind of save my money from inflation a bit. And, those are safe investments. And then after that, we'll see where the market's at.
Dude, if you bought 3 a year, even if a guy bought 3 a year for a decade, and in a decade, you eventually, got to a point where you were able to basically have a lot of equity in those properties, if not eventually have them free and clear.
Yeah.
That's a lot of income.
Yeah, and, after next year, I have plans. I want to buy a lot more. And Zach Keeps will be there for me to give me advice to help me do this. But that's definitely the goal, to buy as many as I can.
Yeah, you just got to be bankable, man. We've thought about starting a fund and raising capital and stuff like that, because you get to a point where even where we're at, it's like, okay, well, nobody wants to just throw that much cash, right?
Yeah.
And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac they're just a pain in the I hate working with them. Even on this primary I'm trying to buy right now, I hate working with them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
So you got to go raise capital or private money or whatever. But
it's
Zach's got some good bankers.
It's hard to make those bank connections though, like Zach has.
Yep.
It's really hard. So
you do have to be very bankable though.
Yeah.
You got to pay the IRS. I mean.
Yeah, and you got to dump your money in. You got to dump your cash into properties and show proof that you can buy rentals, hold them, and they do well. And they're profitable, and you made good purchases. To even prove to one of those bankers to give me money. So 100%. Starts with dishing out the cash if you're going that route.
It does. Yep, it does. I've talked to Zach about it many times. Yeah. And that's the route I'm headed. I want to, my goal, I don't even know how old Zach is, but he's probably a decade older than I am. And give or take, who knows?
Yeah.
But when I'm his age, that's my goal in life. I think he's done a very good job for himself.
Yeah. He set himself up, set his family up, you name it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I could only buy as many properties as he bought, the last market crash, like the next market crash, we'll be killing.
And that's
game.
why I want to build up cash.
Yeah.
And when the market crashes, I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, I love that, man. Well, I have a couple more questions, and then I know we're getting a little bit long here. One of my big questions for you is just a mindset thing, right? Which is, we've all been through trial and tribulation in life, and you've been through trial and tribulation as early as 16 and struggling with the age thing, to it taking 8 months to get a deal, to your first deal falling out of contract, to having to fire people over the years, to different marketing not working, to, blowing money. Everything you can imagine, right, will happen to an entrepreneur. Somebody that is trying to achieve success, they get knocked down and kicked in the face. You're young, man, and you're still young, but you were even younger back then. What was the driving factor? Like, did you have some bigger why? Or, like, how did you stay motivated every day?
Yeah, so back when I got into this, my family was doing really bad, lawsuit, bunch of problems, parents separated and stuff. So I wanted to build success and a light for my family to look at as something successful, that would brighten everything up in a downtime for our family. So that's kind of why I got into it. And then, with those objections and the stuff that I had to push through, like you're saying, the age thing and whatnot, I stopped accepting those as objections. I stopped accepting them, and I said, no, it's not going to stop me. And, you get out of life what you accept. And I feel like people are so accepting. They accept that they're not making how much money they want. They accept that they don't exercise. They accept they build bad relationships. And the minute you stop accepting all that, you have to look your things that you don't like dead in the eye, and that's where the growth comes. And so I just stopped accepting, this, that, and whatever it was, and I just said, I'm going to do it, and I want to be this person, so I'm going to stop accepting not being that person and go for it.
That's awesome, man. I think it's so powerful, I think a lot of people, they just accept it.
Yeah.
Like you said, they go through life and they just kind of settle. And it could be in any area of life. It could be financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, or relationally, right? It could be in any area. And you get, people get complacent and they just say, well, I'm happy here. And look, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, if somebody's genuinely happy, all power to them.
Yeah.
But what you see more often than not is that they're making X amount of dollars, or they're in X amount of shape, or whatever it is, and they complain about it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, well, wait a minute. You're the reason that you're in the situation that you're in. So look, if you're not if you're genuinely happy, then power to you. But if you're going to be there and complain, then that's hypocrisy.
Yeah. And the more people accept this, they accept that, they get deeper in that rabbit hole where they can't get out. They hate their life. They're working a job they don't like. They're scared to leave. You know, they got that scarcity mindset built in now. So the more you accept, the further and further you're going to get away from actually chasing after your dream. And so, you know, thankfully, I didn't accept going to college. I didn't accept that, you know, and I was able to make something happen before I had to go down a more traditional route. And it worked out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm super thankful for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And would you say that you were kind of born with that, or would you say that that was something that you developed over time, or a mixture of the two?
I've always been a hard worker. I always wanted to learn how to make a buck. And, you know, it's been something to develop too. But I had certain things in me that I could build off. I had a good foundation from the start, and you know, through building this business the past 3 years, past 4 years, with some of those trials and tribulations with my family through high school, I used to have a bunch of medical issues when I was in high school and younger, and I was able to push through all that. And you know, that helped me build my foundation, and then through this business I've been able to really dial in my mindset. And you know, I think that's the most important thing. It's 80% of everything. So
wow, I love that, man. I think it's so valuable. It's so important, and it's just such a golden nugget that I think anybody can take away. You know, with hard work and consistency and dedication, you can have anything you put your mind to in life. All right, man, so it's been a phenomenal podcast. You know, there's one thing that I like to ask at the very end. I like to ask everybody, a lot of other people that I look up to in this particular niche of podcasting, they ask a similar question, and that is, you know, obviously you're young, but you've achieved a lot. You have wisdom, you have knowledge, and you've had life experience, man. You've been through stuff. And with that being said, you know, if today was your last day, man, and you knew that at the end of tonight that was going to be the end of it, and you just had to leave everybody that you loved and cared about with just one piece of advice, one thing that you've learned over the years, one thing that you would tell them and leave them with. And it could be anything. It could be personal. It could be business. It could be any piece of advice in the world. What would that one thing be? Yeah.
The one thing would be to make sure you get into something, and you know, with work, and it's a big part of life, and that's what we spend most of our time in. So one of my big pieces of advice would be to, you know, get into something that you're passionate about. You know, that's where it starts. You got to have passion every day for what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to be living a gray life, you know. So definitely that, and then also to take care of everybody around you and spend as much time as you can with them. You know, a lot of times we get caught up in our lives, you know, and we don't want to take the call, or we don't want to do this, or they're calling and we're you know, angry, we're snapping at them when they called because we're stressed out. But it's like, when you look back at all those little moments throughout your life, you know, if it's your last day, you're going to want to take back every single one. So start being more aware and intentional about how you react, what you do, how you speak to people that you love, and that's huge. That's my one piece of advice.
Dude, the fact that you're 19, man, talking like that, you know, wow, you know, that's extremely impactful. And I think that it doesn't matter if you're watching the video and you're 14 years old or you're 75 years old. That right there is wisdom. You know, that's wisdom right there. And so I think everybody should live their life like that, man. You know, we get one shot at life. So that's a mic drop of a moment right there, guys. I really appreciate you tuning in, Jacob. I appreciate you being here, and I just appreciate, you know, your wisdom and your knowledge, and I just hope to see you just succeed beyond your wildest imagination and have you back on here in a couple of years and put you back on the show. And I'd love to do whatever you have going on. If you have a podcast or whatever, I'd love to be on that, obviously. But where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so I do YouTube as well, and I put out a bunch of free educational content for you to learn how to wholesale real estate just like me and change your life with real estate. It's just Jacob Blank on YouTube, and then Jacob Blank for Instagram and the rest of that. So check me out. I'm just trying to teach people how to get in the game and change their life with it. So
I love that, man. Well, there you go, guys. And I'll put all of his information down below again as well. So depending on where you're watching the video, you'll find all of that information down below. And just thank you so much for tuning in. If you are on YouTube, make sure to drop a comment in the comment section down below. Like the video if you haven't already. Smash the subscribe button. And I appreciate you tuning in to the Austin Zabak Show. Jacob, thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely have you back on soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.